Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on another RotoHackers Podcast. My name is AJ Herschel, also known as the Kid. Over there, we've got Judah Buddha. And then right over there, we have the absolute stud. It's Jared. We're the unauthorized reporters of fantasy football news and information coming at you every Tuesday and Saturday. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Never been more mediocre. Dude, that was a good slate of football on
It was.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Turkey Day.
Yeah.
It was too good. It distracted me quite a bit from Thanksgiving. I got in trouble. Got a little in trouble.
Uh-oh.
It was. That was by far the best Thanksgiving games that I can remember. Period.
Wow.
Fantasy wise, worked out pretty well for me. Although, it started off horribly for me because I benched. I have Kenny Golladay in 3 leagues, and I didn't know that the Bears were going to play like a goal line defense on that 3rd and 10 on the opening series, and so he gets that bomb touchdown, and so he didn't. He had a solid day the rest of the way. He had like 9 or 10 more points, but it didn't really. The great thing was other people. All my other guys did well, and the guys playing against me, a lot of people played a lot of Saints against me, and except they didn't play Taysom Hill against me. That would have been the one to play against me probably.
Oh,
but,
my goodness!
So it worked out well. Hey, even my and I played Montgomery in the one league. In the one league I had him, and he ended up having a solid day.
He caught a touchdown.
He did.
That was the last thing I expected.
And it was right at the last minute. I had him going in DFS, and I just thought I thought he was going to be a dud. I was like, man, I should have listened to AJ, and then he catches a touchdown.
There were a lot of garbage points scored in all those games. That Bills game, I had Dak going in 4 leagues, and Dak had 5 points after the first half, and I don't remember what he had at the end of 3, 11 or 12 maybe. And then he got a late touchdown. Matt Ryan got some. I wasn't playing Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan got some late scores. So there were a lot of garbage points, a lot of Thanksgiving leftovers in the fantasy point pile.
Yeah, and even on the other side, Devin Singletary carried me a couple places, a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
He helped me in quite a few places that I absolutely needed him to.
I started him too, and so he and Montgomery. I started him and Montgomery both in 1 league, and so that was 16 and 15, 31. So I mean, that's just an average game for Derrick Henry. But I think Judah missed that one.
Guess what?
I said, I started Devin Singletary and David Montgomery, and they combined for 31. And that's just an average game for Derrick Henry. But but for normal fantasy players, that was pretty good. Calvin Ridley overtook John Brown.
Barely.
Still overtook
John Brown's over there throwing touchdowns,
over there
baby.
throwing for more yards than he's catching. Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Man, he's just he can get you from all the different angles.
That was still the craziest thing, because I was eating at the time the Bills game was going on, and then I get a notification on my phone. It says John Brown. I'm like, I don't think I have him on any of my team. Passes to Devin Singletary. Okay.
Well, I was confused at first because I have a lot of Josh Allen going, and so I was like, John Brown. So is Josh Allen hurt? Is that the backup? Wait, John Brown.
That's funny.
Yeah. Even though I'm going to admit the real star of Thursday night was Will Lutz getting me 17 points in 2 different games. That was incredible.
I'm playing against him, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I had him going in a few leagues too, but also had the Falcons kicker in a few, and he ended up with 8 points.
Okay,
but he missed an extra point, missed a field goal early on. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
That was crazy. Now, before we get to your questions, Thomas H., we have an announcement. We're going to bring this up at the end of the episode as well. Do not forget, we have limited edition RotoHackers t-shirts on sale right now. And
hot off the press, ready for I almost said Easter. Ready for Christmas.
If we hit 100 views on an episode, we will be giving away 3 RotoHackers t-shirts of your choice of color. There they are, right there in all our RotoHackers glory.
So sharp, so
we
handsome.
got the black, and we want to know. Let us know, what is your favorite color? Leave a comment in the comment section below.
Yeah. My personal favorite's the blue, but I want to know what y'all think.
I mean, how to go with the light blue and black for our logo there. Why?
Yeah.
Because Christian McCaffrey is a beast, and we want to feel like Christian. We want RotoHackers to be right up under our strong pecs.
Yeah, which means he's probably going to change the color every year, depending on who's doing well. But anyway, be sure we've got a bunch of colors: white, gray, blue, black, you name it. We'll be giving away 3 of them. Judah Buddha threw up a link at the top of the live comments box. Be sure to go ahead and click that. If you want to buy them, go ahead. But we'll be giving away 3 free if we hit 100.
That's right.
That's how it's going to work.
And it'll be a random 3 in the chat.
Yep.
Let me put up the link for the dark ones because I put up the white ones. There we go. I think that should do it. It's just
Here we go.
Dark RotoHackers and faces, RotoHackers faces, because we're gonna have other T-shirts, but it's gonna be more like text based. Still have.
Well, we got to throw up the classic logo at some point, though. We haven't used that.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah,
that will be part of it. The other thing is, we know we have some creative people in the chat.
Oh yeah.
We need you guys to come up with. We're gonna pick at least one of your designs. Submit it. Email it to rotohackers@gmail.com.
Oh, nice. Did not know that was happening, but let's go. I'm all for it. Here we go. So, with that being said, Thomas H., let's get to your questions. And if we hit 100 episodes so far, right now he's in the running because he's the only person commenting so far. But anyway, Thomas H. starts us off. So, do you like any of the Rams receivers against Arizona? If y'all remember, I dropped a bombshell at the end of last episode saying I might not start Cooper Kupp. And Judah Buddha looked at me like I was a Packers fan in Chicago. So, Judah Buddha, what do you think? Since you obviously have an opinion on the subject.
Since I'm a Packers fan in Chicago. Listen.
Uh-oh.
Man, it's hard because there's part of me that does want to bench Cooper Kupp because he has done me dirty. But it goes against the core of my philosophy in fantasy football to bench based on performance. Because past performance is not a direct indicator of future success. And I think that as soon as you bench somebody like Cooper Kupp, even Cooks, as soon as you bench him, he's going to go off for a huge game. I think there is a serious problem with their offensive line. There is. But they're playing Arizona, who does not have a great pass rush, and they're better. They are better than getting a lot better, particularly in the what's it called? Where they defend the receivers?
Cornerbacks? Secondary?
Secondary. Thank you. My brain doesn't work, guys. But they're just they can be had, and this is football. Play your elite players, and if you don't trust them, then drop them, because what's the point of having him if you can't play him?
Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, I can't bench Cooper Kupp this week. I actually did bench him last week against the Ravens, but I also had DJ Moore. And
that was a good idea.
And that was a very good swap out. And it was against the Ravens. If you're still playing Brandon Cooks, you're probably not in playoff contention anyway. So I'm gonna I don't know if I'm gonna say too much about Brandon Cooks. I mean, he's been hurt. I mean, he's been hurt even when he's been in there. He just hasn't played well because Goff can't throw the ball down the field. So he had double digits. He had 2 nice games in weeks 2 and 3. He got to double digits in week 4, and then he's done nothing since then. So, I mean, if you want to roll the dice on this being the week that he, bounces back, I'm not going to do that. If he was playing Tampa or something, I'd consider it. Cup, unless it's a bad matchup, I can't bench Cup. And I think even depending on who else you have, or if you're in a deeper league, I think you could even play Robert Woods this week, who's someone that I've got rid of across the board. I don't have him in any more leagues. But 3 of the last 4 games he's played, he's been in double digits in fantasy points. He's had 7 or more targets in 3 or 4 of those games, and 80 or more yards in 3 of those 4 games. So in that Ravens game, Goff seemed to be really making a effort to get him involved. He was running a lot of different routes, and he was getting the ball to him. So I think you can't really bench Cup this week unless you've just got some A+ options. But I think you could even in a deeper league, or depending on what your situation is, you could even maybe play Robert Woods. Oh, and also another pass catcher is, they've got the golden matchup for tight ends in Arizona, and Gerald Everett's out, and Tyler Higbee is going to kind of be the guy there. He was getting some attention in that Rams game. I was a little worried. I had thought about streaming Everett in maybe a league. But because Higbee had 6 targets, 5 catches, only 20 yards against the Ravens, I was kind of skittish on that. But now with Everett out, that kind of clears some of the path for him. I think he's a solid tight end streamer. Although it might be tough to play him in anything other than deeper leagues in DFS, because at this point bye weeks are over. There's a fair number of just pretty good tight ends out there. And even, a lot of good tight end streamers like Goddard, Zach Ertz may or may not play tomorrow. So,
I have Goddard almost everywhere. Well, no. I went to look for him almost everywhere. He wasn't available. I looked for him almost everywhere. I got him in a couple places, and I'm excited about him.
Yeah, I've thought about even playing him over, like, when there's a matchup like, Mark Andrews for the Ravens against San Francisco, which is a tough defense, and a tough defense against tight ends. Would I play him over someone like that? But I don't know. That's tough.
Thomas H, I kind of just agree with them. I like Cup, but that's about it. Woods, I think he's startable. He could be startable, but Cup, you have to trust him. I love Cooper Kupp. He's done so much in the last 3 years, and Woods is like kind of viable, I think, as flexes and 12 team. I'd say 10 team, maybe 10 team if your team's not great, 12 team, yeah. But Cooks hasn't even caught a touchdown pass since week 2, and that's what he does. He catches deep touchdown passes. And right now they can't throw the ball farther than 15 yards downfield. So I don't like Cooks at all.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is, like, I like to look at not only like fantasy, the minutia. I think it's important to look at the flow of the games. And I listen to a lot of guys that bet on the games. Not a lot of guys, Pat Mayo mainly. But this just seems like a place where the Rams are going to smash the Cardinals. Kyler Murray is injured. He's added. I think that's something.
He's questionable.
He has and he was a late add, so that's always not good.
Yeah.
He has a hamstring issue, so that's probably gonna he's gonna play. It's not like he's not gonna play, but I don't think he's gonna have the running that he typically has.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with the Rams' offense, though? Because their defense could absolutely lay the smack down. But what about their offense?
Well, as soon as teams start getting in the different kind of game script and they start feeling more optimistic about, like, it no matter what, teams that are like a team that is winning is going to score more fantasy points for your guys. That's just a correlation that it's not like it's a crutch argument. Don't take that to the bank. But when I know that a team is going to win, and especially if I know that they're going to smash, the defense will be more tired. There'll be more opportunities. Like there's seems like so many like intercorollary event. Are you going on me? I'm done.
Jared, how's that word salad for you?
I don't know about. I have some serious questions about Jared Goff's intercorrelations.
I do too.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jared Goff, the last 3 games. Now, granted, these are pretty good pass defenses.
Yeah.
But his last 3 games in half point, well, it doesn't matter for quarterbacks, unless you're playing 4-point or 6-point touchdown leagues for passing leagues, but or passing touchdowns. But 5.72, 6.22, and 6.38. So technically, he's been improving because he is going up like a 0.2 of a point every week or so. But my goodness, I think obviously, I mean they don't have Arizona doesn't have a great passing defense. If you're going to start Cooks, if you're desperate and you have a Hail Mary play and you want to start Cooks, I think that's reasonable. Like if you're thinking you may need like a 20-point game from a guy, you don't have a lot of great options and you just want to take a Hail Mary that he catches a long touchdown or something. I mean, I think you can do that. But the best, or maybe even, man, gosh, you'd have to be pretty desperate to play Goff, I think, just based on how he's done lately. But
you got better options.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I'm just going by your argument here. I'm just like kind of looking for the mentality there, and I think you can, with Cooks, if it's, I mean, you can play almost anybody if the situation is right, but gosh, it would just be tough for me to trust it. But like, San Francisco, they came in there and they passed really well. Really, I mean, Jimmy G's, I think 2 of his best 3 games have come against the Cardinals. I mean, normally Jimmy G's a guy that's averaging like maybe 14 a game. And so his 3 big blow up games, 2 of those 3 where he's basically averaged 30 points. He basically averaged 30 points against the Cardinals. Jimmy G did. So
it's because of their funnel defense. They stop the run pretty well, but they're just not very good. They're like similar to the to Tampa in that way,
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable to play Cooks, but
no.
I mean,
Goff. It's not unreasonable to play Goff, but I just feel like there's so many options this week with so many guys like Andy Dalton coming back. I almost feel better about him.
I wonder how cheap Goff is in DFS. Like, he might be a good DFS play.
I agree with you, except that he's not as cheap as Andy Dalton. I'm playing Andy Dalton everywhere.
I'm playing Dalton. I've got a couple of Dalton and Boyd in there against the Jets on the road. So, although the Jets have been playing better,
they have.
They pretty well shut down the Raiders pass attack last week. So, of course, that was at home. So yeah.
Thomas H, we'll get to your bucket load of questions in a minute because the RAG Evolution's got one for us. Good to have you back on the show. He asks, start Scary Terry McLaurin, Christian Kirk, or Chris Conley out of Georgia?
Scoring McLaurin, man.
Really?
Firing up my scoring McLaurin. Kirk, who's Kirk?
Christian Kirk.
And I know,
yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, he was a thing for like a day. Remember, Jared called his big game. He said this is going to be the biggest game of his career, and hope you traded him.
Yeah. So
Connolly is injured. He's banged up. He's not been targeted very much. But they are playing a good.
He's been targeted 9 and 8 in the last 2 games. Nick Foles have been back. He's getting a solid amount of targets.
Oh yeah, maybe I was thinking of Dede. Yeah, but he's banged up. I think this is going to be more of a Dede game.
I think Conley's healthy actually.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah, he hasn't been injured all week. He's fine.
No, he was on the injured list before.
He hasn't carried a designation all week, I don't think. I'm looking at his reports right now.
Thought I saw him on there. Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, Kirk. I mean, Kirk has a pretty solid floor. I think really all these guys have a pretty solid floor. Washington's probably going to have to pass a lot against Carolina. Conley's got the best matchup, and Kirk's, probably got the best scenario, or at least he's got a more trustworthy quarterback throwing to him. Man, it's really tough for me to trust McLaurin with Dwayne Haskins. I mean, I think he could score a touchdown. So I think it kind of depends on if you need a floor play or a home run play, because I think Kirk, again, he's got a good floor. He's pretty much the unquestioned number one target there for Arizona, but the Rams can be run on. I imagine they're probably going to try to get those running backs involved a good bit. If you need maybe a ceiling play, you might go Conley. I mean, he's getting a lot of targets. Foles, even in that first game where Foles got injured, but Conley was having a good day in week 1. He kind of with Minshew, it was just kind of hit or miss. But week 1, Foles was in there part of the time. Conley had 6 catches, 7 targets, 97 yards, and a touchdown. And then for these 2 games that he's been back, he's had 8 and 9 targets. He's only turned it into 58 and 49 yards. But
they're playing Tampa.
But they're playing Tampa. So I think Conley's, if you're looking for a ceiling play and you're willing to take a risk on a wide receiver 3, I think Conley's not a bad option.
Well, there you go. RAG Evolution. Thomas H., we're going to hop back to you, starting with Pick My Flex, which is going to have to be our new segment. Our man Cooper Kupp, Kareem Hunt, or Sony Michel out of Georgia. B-Tech. 1 point PPR, by the way, Jared.
Yeah, Kupp. Kupp. Easily Kupp for me. Michel, even in a it'd be the same for me regardless of the format. Michel, since Rex Burkhead's been back, I mean, Michel was hard to trust even with Burkhead out because they were mixing Brandon Bolden in. Tom Brady was scoring on like 4-yard QB sneaks.
And it didn't help that they were getting tough running matchups too. I mean, they got Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Philly thrown in there. Yeah.
So Michel had a string of good games in weeks 5, 6, and 7. Bad defenses and Burkhead out and stuff like that. Since then, I mean, he had 85 yards. He did get 20 carries and 85 yards in a game that they weren't really throwing much in last week. But
who is that? Hunt or Michel?
Michel. And Hunt's been really he's almost been like a James White since he's come back. I mean, he's
like a rich man's James White at this point.
Yeah, really. But I mean, he's averaging 10-ish points for you. Not doing a whole lot in the running game, but just catching a lot in the passing game. But I would go Kupp.
Judah Buddha, what do you think?
Oh, it's tough. It depends on what you think. For Kupp, it really depends on what you think like the game script's going to be. Do you think that the Steelers will be able to score a lot on the Browns. If the Browns get up, like if they get up a touchdown or two, I feel like it's just going to be give the rock to Chubb. But if they're in a losing game script, they're going to be throwing a lot to Hunt. You could almost, if they're losing, you can almost slot him in for 8 catches for half point PPR. But it's 1 point PPR.
But are they going to be losing though? With the Steelers, with James Conner out, with Juju out, with Duck Hodges, who's maybe an upgrade over Mason Rudolph. I don't know, but probably on about the same level.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to be losing, it's not going to be by like probably more than a touchdown.
Yeah, so I would probably go Kupp there. Oh man, though it could be one of those games where Michelle Brady has been a little nicked up. I think he's even on the questionable list. He missed practice. He always misses. I mean,
he has no injury designation right now.
Patriots. What are you talking about? Really?
Yeah, he's not questionable. He's okay. The last time they listed him on the injury report was last week.
Okay. I just don't feel like it's going to be him taking getting close to playoffs, him taking a bunch of these quarterback sneaks. It just feels like the time of year where it's like Belichick is like, let's just smash him with the run game and, just coast until the playoffs. But I don't know. That's all narrative street. It could be exactly opposite, and who knows. But it would be nice to have Michelle, and I have to make this choice actually with Michelle whether or not to play him, and that's my biggest fear is like this is a must-win game. I feel like if I leave him on the bench and it's just one of those LeGarrette Blount, like 3 touchdowns and 60 yards type game, I'm just gonna regret it. Especially if I have Kupp in there and he gets me 5 points.
Yeah.
If Kupp can't get more than 5 points against Arizona, that's a bad sign for the rest of his.
Well, I feel like we've already had the bad sign.
Well, true, but those were at least like better passing defenses and stuff.
I know. I mean, that's the argument I made earlier. It's just if he has 5 points against, like, I'm going to be like,
you're going to kick yourself.
We should have known.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, because I love Sony Michel. Okay. I love him, but he's playing with 5 other running backs. And that's a committee that I don't want to touch, no matter what kind of carries he's getting. Even though I love him, I don't trust him to get touchdowns that much because I know someone else might vulture a touchdown from him. Here's what I'm going to say. Hunt is going to have the best floor because he's going to get at least 8-ish points. He's going to get at least like 6 catches for 40 yards or something. But because Arizona's defense is so bad, Cooper Kupp this could be a game where he gets a touchdown, maybe 2, and 15 more fantasy points. So I think Kupp has the highest floor this week. Highest ceiling. Sorry, Kupp is the highest ceiling, but Hunt has the safest floor. That's what I'm going to say.
You know what's going to be agonizing for Sony Michel owners is the first week, assuming he's healthy and assuming the Patriots backfield is all healthy, which was Rex Burkhead, you never know. But week 15, the first round, the fantasy playoff semifinals, they get the Cincinnati run defense.
Oh,
that is going to be an agonizing choice for fantasy owners. And I got rid of Sony Michel in every league because mainly part of the reason is I just didn't want to have to make that choice. But that could easily be 30 points or 7 points.
Yeah. Same with the Kansas City game right before that too. If you're trying to get in the playoffs, that could be big too.
I mean, that goes more towards his, not to contradict you, AJ, but that goes more towards the fact that he just stinks as a running back because he's getting. So here's the breakdown as far as snaps. It's not 5. There's only 4 running backs: Michelle, White, Sexy Rexy, and Bolden. Bolden's only getting 10% of the snaps. Michelle's getting 51% of the snaps, White 30, and they're a lot of times they're in the same at the same time. It's really Rex Burkhead that is eating in because he does run the ball down the middle as well as catch the ball. But I actually think that Rex Burkhead is taking more from White at this point, catching balls. So
I think it depends it sort of depends game to game. Like Michelle last week, he did get, they just ran it so much last week.
Yeah.
I think they're going to continue to. That's their fall plan, man. That's what.
No, that was that rain game. That was the rain game.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
So, I mean, he's, I guess it really depends. But I mean, I think unless it's like a really stout run defense, they do still tend to give Michelle 20-ish carries, because the two, if you look lately, like the two that they didn't just try to hammer him up the middle against, it was Baltimore and Philadelphia, two pretty good run defenses. So, you might be safe. I mean, it feels like, he probably will get 20 carries.
Against Houston,
they're not that tough against them.
They're not good against them.
It's hard to tell with them.
It is kind of, yeah. It is kind of like they pretty well limited Fournette in that I think in that London game, didn't they?
But they also just let up over 100 yards to Jonathan Williams.
Yeah, that's true.
And they also let up 100 yards to Gus Edwards the week before.
Yeah.
Gus Edwards.
Gus Bus.
Yeah. I mean, I think the volume is going to be there for Michelle, but it's just like the thing that's tough to trust is the goal line stuff. Like is Brady going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 yard quarterback sneaks? Is Brandon Bolden going to come in?
Yeah.
So that's because he's really touchdown dependent. So
yeah. While I have a second, I'm going to defend Sony Michel. No, he does not stink. He's in a committee with 5 other running backs.
The other 2 aren't getting any snaps.
Sure. Okay. No. Brandon Bolden has 2 touchdowns. That's 2 touchdowns Sony could have gotten that they threw in another guy.
I mentioned Brandon Bolden. He's getting 10% of the snaps.
He's taking away Sony's 10% of the goal line. That's the reason why Sony hasn't had that many touchdowns. He had that one great game where he scored 3. And also, statistically this year, he's been doing well against bad defenses. He's had a string of harder defenses, and it's harder for him to pound the rock and get it up the middle.
That's what I mean.
He's got an easier stretch of defenses coming.
If he was good, he could play well against good defenses.
That's not. If they're a good run defense, they stop good running backs. That's how it works.
He stinks. But you know what? He's gonna score 3 touchdowns this week.
I cannot wait. Till he runs it right down.
So here's what worries me about Sony Michel, because obviously, like, I'm less than 2 hours from Athens, so I saw him a lot in when he was at UGA.
He was really good.
He was really good. Had him in some leagues last year. He looks different this year.
He does.
He just kind of runs straight forward, and he's not a powerful enough back, a Derrick Henry, who can just bowl people over.
He's small.
Rex Burkhead gets in there, and like Rex Burkhead, it's just a different style. Like he's aggressive. He's going straight to the holds. He's even got a little bit of wiggle.
He gets injured every 5 weeks,
and that's the downside. Yeah, as he gets injured every 5 weeks. But Sony, there were all the concerns about his knee when he came out, and I'm wondering if he's got something going on with that, because it's kind of like I would just kind of compare him to like Todd Gurley, where he just doesn't look the same. Like he looks like, yeah.
But in both their cases, like the problem isn't as much like Gurley is not a different player. It's his offensive line.
Yeah.
Both the cases, their offensive
and
line.
they're not giving him carries either. They're not giving him carries.
He's running into the defensive line enough, but it's because, like, if you look at the tape, the teams are, like, they are just coming through. I was showing my daughter wanted to know about fantasy football, and I was showing her, like, I was telling her, like, offensive line is like a wall that protects the I said, like, the king, it's like his castle.
Mm-hmm.
And I was showing her what happens, and I was using the Rams as an example of what happens when your wall lets people through, because you could just see people they're not even inhibited. They just run right through. That's all I got.
Okay. All that to say, we're pretty much saying Cup number 1, Hunt number 2. There you go. And Sony's still a good player. Next up, start 2. DJ Chark, Mike Evans, or Tyler Lockett, half-point PPR. This is an easy number 1 for me.
Those are some good options there.
Yeah. Either you could draft Evans and Lockett and then pick up Chark. You could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, stud number 1 receivers. It's arguable whether it's Evans or Godwin in Tampa, because they just kind of like alternate. Like Godwin dominates for 3 weeks, and then Evans dominates for 3 weeks. For me, like, it's a tough choice between Evans or Lockett as my second guy. I'm going to go Chark because it's the Tampa defense.
Yeah.
Evans, it's like he's 10 points or he's 30 points.
He hasn't done too hot in the last 3 weeks against bad defenses too, though.
Right, but that also makes me think like he's due for he's due for a breakout, because I mean he's had a string, of just awesome games before. I'm gonna lean to him, mainly because of the targets. Because I mean, even when his targets are down, he's still getting like 8. Even when his targets are down, he's still getting 8, as opposed to, when they're up, he's getting 16, 17. The thing with Lockett, I'm not really sure if he's a little bit. I mean, he got injured in that Monday night game against San Francisco. Yeah. So he left that a little bit early, but he didn't have a ton of targets in that. He had 4 targets. And then in the game against Philadelphia, he had 2 targets, 1 catch, 38 yards. Minnesota's not a good pass defense this year, but Lockett just normally doesn't get a ton of targets. Like it's kind of skewed by the fact that he'll have, a handful of games where he gets 12, 14, 18, something like that. Yeah. So he could have a big game. But I think the floor is just a little bit lower with him. Normally he's pretty consistent, and it is a good matchup, but not really knowing with the injury a couple of weeks ago, and not really knowing how that's factoring in, that's going to kind of be, I think, the deciding factor for me to say Chark and Evans.
Yeah. See, for me, Chark is easy start because I don't trust Tampa's pass defense at all. And I think this could, like, if this is the game the Jaguars score 50 points, this is going to be the game they score 50 points through the air. But I think Chark's going to have a big game. I think he's going to do great. I picked up Foles in a couple places. I really think that their pass defense is going to shred Tampa's. And Evans, I mean, he's got to blow up at some point. He's had 3 down weeks. He's got to blow up at some point. Lockett isn't 100%. He's not fully healthy. He's still illness, shin, maybe. Monday night play, I like Chark and Evans, especially Chark. Judah Buddha, what do you think?
So the thing that I've come down to, because I have Evans and Godwin, the thing that it comes down to for me is Godwin is always better, like in a negative game script. When they're down, they go to Godwin. When they're up, they go when and it seems like when Winston has enough time in the pocket, he can sail it down to Evans. But when they're down and they're like just trying to matriculate the ball up the field, it's Godwin. And so it's hard to tell. I don't think he's going to have a lot of time in the pocket against Jacksonville. I'm looking at them now.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this a while back, and sacks wise, they're pretty good. So like top
Jacksonville,
top 5, top 3, something like that.
Yeah, so I think this is a big Godwin game. I don't think it's a big Evans game. And I'm actually like, guys, I don't trust the deficiency of Tampa as much as you guys do. Eventually
their defense or their offense?
Their defense. I think eventually their secondary is already getting more healthy and playing better. This could be a turning point for them. I don't know, but it seems like they're getting better, and they're not going to be one of those teams you can just pick on. But Chark to me is probably the more skilled of all these guys. He's just, I love to watch him play.
Well, but are you just kind of skewing it based on like them shutting down the Falcons last week?
Yeah, because that was partly because the Falcons' offensive line's a mess and they were getting to Ryan.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's what I mean. Really, like that's the one game that Tampa has kind of bounced back with. But I mean, Monday night, New Orleans was, shutting him down. It was really just. I think that was more of a Falcons ineptitude rather than a Bucks resurgence sort of game.
Because if you look at the games before that, too, Thomas, 100 yards and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 3 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett, 2 touchdowns. They're consistently giving up big yards and big touchdowns to big receivers.
To fast receivers.
I'm saying big, not necessarily like actual size. Like
well, I think it matters since Chark is kind of one of those big. He's fast, but he's not one of those speedy get behind the defense guys. I don't know.
Yeah, but until the Bucks do something other than beat the Falcons in the past game, I need to see something good. I think Jaguars Chark dominates. I think this is Chark week.
Maybe
this is going to be Chark week.
I think he'd be the guy of all these 3 guys. He'd be the guy to go to. Lockett is. They're playing
the Vikings, and the Vikings haven't been intimidating. But the thing is, it's Monday night. He got banged up against San Francisco. He hasn't gotten many targets. He didn't get targets in that game or last week against Philadelphia. Now he's missed practice with this illness sort of thing, and it's a Monday night. And if if one of these things carries over, he may not have a good game. You run the risk, the possibility that he, maybe doesn't even play. I mean, that's a very outside chance. But with any Monday night game, it's riskier. So I feel like when you've got Evans, you just go with him.
Yeah. Ryan N, welcome back. He says he better win his league after Black Friday. He's broke.
Did you guys buy anything Black Friday? I didn't buy anything.
I bought the Apple AirPods.
How much were they?
$130.
Is that a deal?
They're normally they've been $200, which is why I've never gotten them. I just always use my corded because they've been out for years, like 2 years or more, and so I always just used my corded earbuds. And so
why don't you have them in?
I haven't come yet. I just ordered them.
Oh, you ordered them.
I'm not sure if they would even work with this mic setup anyway, but yeah. So I did that, and got like a shirt or like a little Under Armour shirt because Under Armour was running like a 30% off deal, and then stuff was already discounted, so you could get like t-shirts for like $13. So those were my 2. I don't really do Black Friday as much as like the cyber deals. I'm not going to go fight Walmart crowds for a flat screen.
No. The funny thing was the only thing I was going to get on Black Friday was printer paper because I'm completely out. And then someone just told me, there's a Walgreens right down the street. I was like, okay, Forget about it.
Did they have because I went to Office Depot yesterday for my work, and they were selling big boxes of paper for $10.
Shoot, I missed out.
Might still be. I don't know.
Anyway, Ryan, good to have you with us. If you got any questions for us to help you win your league, we're here. Thomas H says, start 2. Josh, how many leagues do you have? Josh Jacobs, Le'Veon Bell, Mark Ingram, or Judah Buddha, your guy Rojo, and Jared. This is half-point PPR.
Bell.
But yeah, Bell's the easy one.
You say that every week. My goodness.
Well, every week he produces. He doesn't get a lot of touchdowns.
He hasn't failed us yet.
Right. It's like 12. It's like 12 to 16 points every week. I mean, he's
the Josh Allen of running backs.
I mean, especially in PPR leagues. I mean, this is half-point PPR, but you're still getting a premium there.
Yeah. The big thing with Bell is that this week he's playing Cincinnati. That's one of the golden matchups for running backs. How do you sit him?
Ingram's losing touches. Jacobs, I forgot to talk about it on Tuesday, but that was one of my biggest disappointments. I think he may have lost me a league. He had 5-10 points. How many points did he have last week? It was terrible.
He didn't have much. Yeah.
7. Yeah. I'm going to go get those AirPods. I'm starting to...
We'll have a discussion about that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, you got.
Speaking of Josh Jacobs, those AirPods seem like. Right. So yeah, he had 7 points, and what is he hurt? What was the deal? I didn't.
Okay, so game. It was game script because the Jets whooped them 34-3.
Oh.
So,
but
and that's what worries me about this week with the Chiefs too, because they're on the road in Kansas City. That is what worries me because he's great. I really like the guy, but man, I don't know. He's coming off of a string of playing a lot of bad run defenses. So Chicago, Green Bay. And then he had Houston a little bit better in there. And then Detroit, the Chargers. The Chargers have gotten better, but they've just been terrible against the run. Cincinnati. And so the Jets actually have a good run defense. So it was a combination of, they're just terrible against the pass. So it was a combination of, bad game script of them getting down and then, the Jets having a solid run defense. It's tough, but I would be, I think, a little bit more inclined to go with Ingram than I would Josh Jacobs because, like I said, it's on the road. I feel like Kansas City is pretty healthy at this point, apart from Damian Williams it looks like we'll miss this game. But
yeah, he's out.
You just that's right. They did declare him out, but you just they plugged Darrell Williams in there. And then they've got McCoy. So. Yeah, San Francisco has been more forgiving against the run lately. Even if Ingram doesn't get a ton of yards, I could see it being a situation where he's able to, get a touchdown or two. It's tough for me. I think their floor is going to be about the same level, but I could see Ingram getting a couple of touchdowns and that being the difference.
Judah Buddha, what do you think?
So I got a question for you guys.
Oh boy!
I mean, for me, it's Bell. Oh, start 2.
Bell. You got to start 2.
Yeah.
Bell, and I would take my chances on Rojo.
Yeah.
I like because for me, I don't know. I might actually do Jacobs too because what really hurt him last week was the run defense as well as the script. Whereas I think if the Chiefs are to be had, it's down the middle with Jacobs. But I don't know. I'd so maybe I would go. I just talked myself out of it. Bell and Jacobs. I just trust the skill more. Rojo's good, but he's not Jacobs good.
And you don't know what his volume exactly is going to be. If it's going to be
split.
Yeah. Even though I gotta give credit to the Chiefs, they're kind of locked up on the run over the past 5 weeks. Yeah. Granted, and the only people who was able to bust them open was our guy Derrick Henry. But other than that, They held Melvin Gordon to under 70 yards. They held Aaron Jones to under 80 yards. They held Dalvin Cook to under 75 yards.
Yeah,
and they've only let up in those games 1 touchdown to the run.
All right, I'm reversing it again. Ronald Jones. Bell and Ronald Jones.
So we got a Bell and Ronald Jones, a Bell and Ingram. Who are you going with, AJ?
Yeah, Jacobs, I like him. I just don't know about the Raiders. Ingram's playing San Francisco. That's the only thing that worries me. He's playing San Francisco. He's getting like 11-ish targets a game. I mean, honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen in the Ravens 49ers game. I have no idea what's going on. I like Rojo. I like him. Oh man, this is tough. But Bell's the obvious go-to, I think. I think Rojo's just been consistent in his last few weeks. Wait, what's the one team that Ingram broke out against again? He had 2 big games.
He had 2 touchdowns, but he didn't have a lot of yards.
He's had back-to-back. So last 4 games, ironically, like the one game that Ingram didn't really do that well in was against Cincinnati. He had 34 yards and a touchdown against the ultimate terrible run defense. But a lot of that, I think, was just, they were up by so much. They just said, hey, we're going to, Lamar Jackson was just kind of doing everything, and they didn't really have to use him as a battering ram. Ingram ran for 115 against New England. He ran for 111 against the Rams, although the Rams aren't an intimidating run defense. But San Francisco has had, like, lately they've been more forgiving against the run. In some ways, it's kind of been sort of a mix because, again, game script, I think, has factored into it to where, like, the Packers didn't really get that much last week against them, but it was 37-8. So they couldn't really run the ball. But 2 weeks prior to that, I think Chris Carson
had a decent game. He only rushed for 89, but he got a touchdown.
Right. Yeah. And 89 and a touchdown is going to get you, 15 points. So, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I can see if Rojo, if I knew he was going to get 15 carries, I would go with him. Not really knowing what the volume is going to be and not really knowing how the game script is going to go. If Jacksonville is going to jump up on them by 17 points, throwing the ball, Jameis Winston turns it over a bunch of times. I don't know. I feel a little bit safer about Ingram, even against the tough run defense. Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Finish real quick. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just don't know how Lamar Jackson's running ability is going to force San Francisco's front to sort of spread out a little bit more and protect the edges, maybe softening things up for, Ingram in the middle a little bit.
Yeah, and the game Ingram had against New England, I'm just looking back at that, which was tough run defense. He had 115 yards in it. So I guess it comes down to how much do you trust the Ravens offense. I think it just comes down to, do you trust them to beat San Francisco's defense, even though they've been absolutely insane? I think Ingram's got the safer floor because he's going to get at least like 8 or 9 probably. But I can see a scenario where Jones blows up. So I don't know. I guess I'll go Ingram just because he's in the Ravens offense, which is so multifaceted. But then again, you could have Hollywood Brown and everyone else score touchdowns, and Gus Edwards could get 100 yards. But I guess I'll go Ingram. Ronald Jones just barely missing. But I guess if you are a Bucs believer, go Rojo, I'll say. If you're a believer in the Bucs, I don't know. I'm kind of straddling the middle here of the issue.
There are a lot of those, except for Bell. I think all the other options are kind of like about the same boat.
Yeah.
So my question was, so I've got a similar. So I have to win this game. Ooh. I've got right now. I just put Jeffrey back in the wide receiver spot. I've got Chubbs and Jacobs, and Kittle. And Prescott already got me 30 points in that league. Nice. And John Brown got me 11. So I have to decide between Metcalf, Michelle, McCoy, and D. Williams.
Oh, that's easy for me. Go Metcalf. That's easy.
Well, I can play 2 of those.
Oh, two of them?
Metcalf.
Would you have to take someone else?
So I'm thinking of going Metcalf and McCoy, but I don't know.
Do you have to take someone else out, or do you need 2 people?
There's 2 flex spots.
2 flex spots. Okay.
So between those, I'm thinking of going Metcalf and McCoy. It's Cooks.
And who are the other 2?
Metcalf,
McCoy,
Michelle, McCoy, and D. Williams. I picked him up just in case. I don't
know. How's it look in terms of, has your opponent played any of his guys yet?
He played Breeze against me.
Okay.
Ooh,
so I'm ahead.
What are the projections like?
I'm ahead. I'm projected 134. He's projected 122.
Oh, so that's still pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, still pretty close.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, those Kansas City running backs, I think, can both probably do about the same thing. I was gonna say if you've got a comfortable lead, it might not have been the worst thing to play like just both Kansas City running backs, and you would think one of them would, at least one of them is probably going to do well.
That's interesting.
But I don't know if you've got a good enough lead there. If you can afford to try to play it that safe. The thing with Metcalf for me is that he's still sort of boomer bust. I mean, he had the big game against Tampa, 123 and a touchdown. But apart from that, like his last several games have been sort of misleading. So apart from that, he's only had, I guess, one other game in his last 6 where he's scored. And that was against Atlanta, where he only had 13 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. And so that's a weird. So last week against Philadelphia, he just had 35 yards. The week before that against San Francisco, he had 10 targets, but just 70 yards, just had 8 points. And again, prior to those Tampa and Atlanta games, it was, 9-5 against Cleveland and Baltimore. So, man, that's tough because Minnesota doesn't have a good pass defense. But it's a little bit shaky there.
Yeah, my fear is that Rhodes actually does better against those big lanky guys, and and that's exactly what DK is. As long he has a tough time with speedsters, but big lanky guys tends to, at least my impression is, he tends to shut them down.
I'm still with you, Metcalf and McCoy, though, because Metcalf, if he does get a touchdown, he gets a touchdown, and that's like a solid 10 or whatever. McCoy, I mean, he'll probably get you at least like 7 or 8, maybe at least the potential of a touchdown. Damian Williams is playing second fiddle, and I don't trust Cooks.
You mean Darrell Williams?
Sorry, Darrell Williams, definitely not. No.
Damian Williams is out, though.
I know, but still.
I don't know that there's really that big of a difference between Damian and Darrell, though. I mean, the two games that Damian missed earlier, Darrell had 13.4 and 17.1. He just kind of slots right in there, and so yeah, that man, this is a tough one because those are all. I think the thing with playing either one of those Kansas City running backs, though, is you don't know, like you could gamble on one of those, and the other one really gets the points. Yeah. I think I would be more inclined to, if you're gonna, like, rather than go with one of them, I think I would probably go either like Metcalf and Michelle, or do what I was talking about, where, if you feel like, you're safe enough otherwise, maybe go with those 2 Kansas City running backs.
Oh, that's interesting. The only other guy I have that I could play is Jay Ajayi in a big revenge game.
Ooh, okay. I feel like revenge games work for teams. Like if they get blown out in one game, they'll come back and try to win the next one. I don't think revenge games for players ever work out that well.
I think sometimes it does. I think sometimes coaches will use whatever they can to motivate their players, and this could be a spot where they need Ajayi and need him to perform well, and they're really egging on the revenge side of it. Probably not, but could be.
I mean, last week. Let's see, what did he end up doing? He didn't really. I mean, I know he didn't do
much, but he was in there more.
I know he had just gotten signed.
Yeah, but was it last week he had been signed? Oh, he didn't do anything then. He was. Yeah, I think he was a scratch.
No, he played. He had 6 carries for 16 yards.
Oh, okay.
So I just don't know that. Like, I don't think they're going to, even with another week of practice, under his belt. I don't really see them using him as like sliding him into that full Jordan Howard role.
Yeah, especially since he only played 12% of snaps last week too.
Right, but that was last week. I think he's
been there for 2 weeks, third week.
I think he could have a huge role this game.
I would think that they're going to go more Miles Sanders. You know?
Oh, they are for sure. But if they go 60-40, that'd be a nice little 40% share.
Maybe. I mean, I like Sanders and Alshon Jeffrey this week as an aside.
Ajayi had 12% of the snaps last week, which is not a lot, but
that's not at all.
It's gonna, but that's a lot for his first game back.
For a running back, though, I mean, I don't know if it's that much really. I mean, because it's not like
because you could be in there too, even if you don't get the ball. That could just be passing downs for all we know.
Yeah.
No, Sanders was in there for all the passing downs. He's their passing down running back.
Still.
So the other guy they have there is my other sneaky favorite, sleeper. Not for this week, but I've always kind of liked Scott. What's his first name?
Byron Scott?
No.
Boston.
I love that name, even though I can't remember it. Boston Scott.
Yeah, I think the thing with Ajayi, as much as I love him as a player, he's benched until it's proven startable. Until he does something that actually gets me worth putting him in a flex spot, etc. He's right on the bench for now.
Yeah, I mean the only exciting part of that is that it's Miami.
Yeah, exactly.
Just his second week with the team, a guy that hasn't played in a while. I don't know that this is important enough to put it on just solely on me here. This is not. I don't have anything terribly
that's
profound to say on this one, but I was just gonna say.
Now you know how I feel.
Well, it depends. Like sometimes it's fine, but it's like this one's going to be a huge letdown. I think it's just the matchup with Miami. I mean, he doesn't really catch balls. It's only his second week in. I don't think they're going to ask him to take a huge role. He's not an appealing play for me.
Yeah, he might be a good DFS play. Though
I don't know that he's even a good DFS play because you're really aiming for guys who are going to get, especially if you're not playing a double up or something like that. If you're playing a high dollar, win $100,000 league or something like that, you really need guys that can get you 25, 30 points.
Well, his price point in DraftKings, he's down in the 3,000s or maybe it's 4,000s, but he can easily get you 20 points. With a couple of touchdowns and 60 yards, he could, if he is the main 3-down back for this game.
He won't be, though. I mean,
you can't say that for sure. And that's the best thing about tournament. That's what you want for tournaments is people that have high upside.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't care about low side because you're going to lose. You just got to go in assuming you're going to lose. You don't care about downside. You're just going for high upside and cheap. He's cheap. You can fit him and McCaffrey in and then get a ton of other good players.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if he gets you that, it's just hard for me to see him getting that kind of volume. I guess if he got the goal line carries or something, but
yeah. The problem is if they just give it to Boston. But I think the thing that encourages me is they didn't just give it to Boston Scott last week. They didn't just hand it to him to do all the dirty work, all the 3 down back stuff. They gave Ajayi a chance, and I almost felt like they were working him in. And on top of that, Miles Sanders did not do very well with what he got. He did okay, but he got stuffed so much.
Well, he had 12 carries for 63 yards. So, that's but what?
I don't feel like that's
5 yards a carry. That's 5 yards a carry. That's good. He didn't have fantasy.
Really good.
5 yards a carry? Yeah. That means every 2 downs you're getting a first down with your running back.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty good.
He got double digits. The thing was he didn't have a touchdown. It was that Eagles offense is just rough. Hopefully maybe with Alshon Jeffrey back, it's a little bit better if he's actually healthy. But I think it could be a good game for the running backs. But I think it's just going to be more Miles Sanders. I think they need somebody more electric in there. So.
All right, we're gonna have to real quick. RAG Evolution asked, "What was our answer to his question about Scary Terry, Kirk, and Conley?" Real quick,
Conley.
We say?
I think we agreed on Conley.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we got some more questions in the comments for us. Starting with Math Quest. Thanks for tuning in. Good to have you with us. Yes, Ronald Jones or Jonathan Williams in a standard league. This is an interesting one.
I think I'd go Williams because the volumes. The volume's going to be there.
Well, you don't know. They could easily switch it up.
You don't know 100%. He could pull a Mike Tomlin. The Colts could pull a Mike Tomlin and suddenly oh no, it's not going to be Jalen Samuels anymore. It's suddenly going to be Benny Snell. But I think the Colts tend to be more predictable. Jonathan Williams got 26 carries last week. He's been over 100 yards each of the last 2 games. They're at home. They're missing T.Y. Hilton again.
Yeah, I think that's big.
Eric Ebron is gone for the season. That almost at some point it starts to become worrisome that Tennessee can just load up on the run.
Well, but that would be my fear. Game script wise, if they get, of course, they played him a ton last week, even when they were behind. But this might be a nice place for the pass catching.
Naheem Hines. Yeah, maybe
because he got a lot of snaps last week.
The Colts tend to, regardless of who they're playing against, they tend to keep it close. They can play the best team and keep it close, or they can play the worst team and somehow manage to keep it close. They play insanely conservatively, and so I think just based on volume, I'd have to go Jonathan Williams again. I like Williams. Yeah, I like Rojo if I knew he was going to be, but they're still mixing in Peyton Barber. Rojo got, I guess, the goal line carries last week, but the week before didn't. Mm-hmm. It's just too unpredictable for me.
I agree.
Cha Cooley, thanks for tuning in. Coming in with a college football question for us. It's right up my alley. Says Ohio State, Clemson, and LSU lose. All the other top 10 teams get popped for steroids and are paying players, and the Ducks are in. Simple.
Nope, Utah. That's
there you go.
Unless if they beat Utah, but even then,
Oklahoma.
Even then, it's Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, Cha, I feel your pain here. I had relatives that lived in Oregon. So I would spend a week or 2 out there in the summers for years. And so Oregon has a special place in my heart. I know that sports wise, that state, they've got the Trailblazers and they've got college sports, and that's it. So I was rooting for Oregon, but it's time to accept reality that it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no. I want to put a pin in something I want to come back to later about Connolly.
Okay, sure. Ohio State, I hope they lose to Michigan. I want them to lose to Michigan. Clemson's not losing to South Carolina. If LSU loses, that means they lose to Georgia, which means Georgia gets in and LSU gets in.
How did this guy know that you guys like college sports?
I don't know.
Who told him that? Because
this is right up my alley right here.
It's right up both your guys' alley. And
I mean, it's not that big of a stretch to think that fantasy football guys are going to be into to college football too. Yeah. It's not like he just like broke in with an Australian badminton question. Like, how did he know that the two of you are into that?
Right. Oh boy, sees the heading. It says AFL instead of Arena Football League. It's really Australian Football League. It's the wrong one. I totally haven't had that happen to me before. Samuel Wilson, thanks for tuning in, man. Good to have you back. He said, Herbert still goes number 1 in the draft. Yeah, that's possible. It's possible.
I don't know. He top 10, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I think Burrow's looking pretty good right now. Between Tua's fragility and Herbert, Herbert has been on a bigger stage. Well, he had that Auburn game, where he was on a national stage.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the year.
This game, it was beginning of the year, but this game against Arizona, I watched that and he was bad until the end and when he turned it on. So I don't know if he's number 1 pick. Anyway,
Samuel Wilson, good to have you with us. Thanks for your patience. He has Chris Conley, Debo, and Cooks, boys. Y'all can only choose one.
Okay, so Chris Conley was limited. He was a limited participant in the Jaguars' first 2 practices of week 13.
They didn't put him on the injury report, though.
Okay, well, he was on some injury report because I saw it. It does say he's a go, but I tend to like to stay away from soft tissue injuries. That's going to always be nagging, but I guess if it was nothing big at the beginning of the week, it's been a long week. Feels like it's been a long week at least.
Anyway, to answer the question.
Conley, that goes into my decision making with, I got Conley.
But Debo's banged up too.
Yeah, that's true.
All
right, Jared, go ahead, take this away.
I'm just looking at some Debo numbers here. Man, Debo's been pretty nice lately, but there's so many moving parts to San Francisco. They like to run the ball more. They don't really like to throw that much. So, last week, Debo still had double-digit fantasy points, but it was because of a touchdown. He had 2 targets. He caught both, and he had 50 yards and a touchdown. His 2 games prior to that were in situations where Kittle was out. Emmanuel Sanders was banged up. Emmanuel Sanders probably is still banged up. The tough thing with him is just not really knowing, how that, rib injury is healing, if it is really going to heal or what. Cooks we talked about Cooks a little bit earlier. He's just really, even in a nice matchup against Arizona, it's really tough to trust him. You look at that and you go it's Brandon Cooks, versus Chris Conley, the 3rd option for the Jaguars. But really, Cooks is the 3rd or 4th or 5th option for the Rams, because Goff is throwing to Robert Woods, he's throwing to Kupp, he's throwing to those tight ends, he's throwing to the running backs. So even though on the surface you think of everything that Cooks has done in past years, and you think Conley's a 3rd wide receiver, not that really much of a heralded guy, not a 1st round pick or something like that. But I think I would still go with Conley here. Foles likes to throw to him. It's the ultimate golden matchup with Tampa. That I think is just a safer play.
Judah Buddha, what do you think?
I've been a Debo. I've kind of become a Debo fan ever since Jared played him against me and he got 20 points and came back. And then the next week, So Jared dropped him, and the next guy who played me in the same league picked him up and played him against me. I won that game, but I was like, Debo. I'm going to go with Debo. I think they're going to have to pass a lot in this game. I think it's going to be a good game, and I think he is a red zone target that is used heavily by Jimmy Polo. And I think you're right. I don't think that Manny Sanders is healthy yet.
Yeah. This one is honestly really easy for me because I'm literally looking through the Ravens' last games to find out when was the last time they gave up a 100-yard receiver. I'm actually trying. The last time they did was when they got destroyed by the Browns way back when. They have locked up on wide receivers so well, not allowing them anywhere near 100 yards. Look, Debo, good player. 49ers still got Sanders, and they're playing Baltimore, whose defense is absolutely incredible. Brandon Cooks, he's playing with the Rams. Enough said. Chris Conley, easy for me. Out of Georgia. Go Dogs.
You're putting a lot of eggs in the old Jacksonville basket.
Well, they're
playing Tampa's defense.
A lot of it is just like a lot of people are coming up with Conley specific. Like this is like our second or third Chris Conley question. It just so happens to be, and the guys that other people are throwing out there just happen to be like if you said like Alshon Jeffrey or Chris Conley, like Alshon Jeffrey, but it just happens to be guys that. I just don't really trust over and look, I mean, Conley could easily let down. And that's the tough thing is that, this is an offense that likes to go through Leonard Fournette. They've got DJ Chark. They've got D.D. Westbrook. I mean, he could let down. It could be a letdown game, but, you just look at like AJ was saying with the Ravens, the Ravens have been a different pass defense since they traded for Peters. They got Jimmy Smith back. They already had Marlon Humphrey. The Ravens are scary to me.
Oh yeah.
So here's the question, because I actually thought about doing this in DFS. Connolly, he's right there at a great price.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually debating him or Dede, and I'm really starting to think Connolly would be a great third wide receiver in DFS.
Yeah, I think both of them. Dede's good too. Dede's going to have. You can make an argument for either one. I mean, like Conley has been getting targets. Yeah, they've both been getting targets. But it's like with Dede being the slot guy, even though they had that little preseason connection, like I think it was you Judah that was talking about how like Foles likes to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And so he's got Chark on one side and Conley on the other. And so if you've got a guy that likes to throw the ball down the field, then it's like a 50-50 almost shot on some of those plays. When Conley's getting like 8-9 targets a game, it's hard to go against that.
Yeah. That's true. Thank you, Samuel Wilson. Josh Twenter coming up next asks,
wow,
who would you
got
flex?
some new names. Thanks for joining. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Josh Twenter asks, who would you flex? Kareem Hunt against Pittsburgh, Shady McCoy against Oakland, or DeAndre Hopkins against New England? Standard scoring. Thanks for putting the matchups. It makes it easier.
Yeah, and thanks for putting the format.
Oh yeah.
I've benched Hopkins this week but you have to consider that my other options were like Chark. Okay. In the leagues where I benched him, it was options like Chark against Tampa, Allen Robinson against Detroit, Calvin Ridley with Hooper and Jones both out. So I think if you've got better options, but man, I don't know about this. Judah.
I'm going McCoy. Over Hopkins.
Really?
I probably just go Hopkins. That's hard. It's between McCoy and Hopkins to me, and I'm increasingly feeling McCoy. I'm feeling it. It just feels like a McCoy smash spot. But Hopkins, here's the thing about Hopkins. He can go the whole game and just be so frustrated, and you're frustrated with him. He's not getting any points. And then he just gets this like long 70-yard bomb and just beautifully like catches it behind his back and puts it through his legs and falls into the end zone. So it's like that's what's hard about. I wouldn't sit Hopkins because he's got the most beautiful hands of any wide receiver in the league. Yeah. And I think just with 2 catches, he can win you, he can get you like that 17 to 20 points.
Yeah. Hopkins, it's hard to bench him. It's like he's people's like first round draft pick at this point. I mean, part of it is like I need you to live up to it. But even if he's playing New England, it's DeAndre Hopkins. Look, if someone's going to score a touchdown on Houston, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins. Will Fuller. Or Will Fuller. But it's probably going to be DeAndre Hopkins. Standard makes it a little bit harder for me to put him in since it's not PPR, since he's not getting points for the catches. But as much as I think McCoy could do well, it's the fumbles that worry me, and it's the injury history that worries me with Shady. So I go with DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, the fact that it's Standard takes Hunt out because he's just like that's where he's making his living is like 7 catches for 45 yards or something. Like I said, I didn't feel bad about this. Was the one scenario where I felt okay about benching Hopkins when I had other options. Like I said, like I benched him for guys like Ridley or Allen Robinson or Chark. I would even I think one league I'm benching him for Alshon Jeffrey. I don't like New England, I always say like the 2 things New England tries to do is they try to shut down your run and they try to take away your number 1 option. And so generally what they do is they've got an elite cornerback that if you've got a really good number 2 wide receiver, they put that elite cornerback on your number 2 wide receiver. And then they do bracket sort of double team coverage on your number 1 guy. And it's just really tough. And if you look at what New England has done against number 1 wide receivers this year, they just haven't allowed much of anything. That game last week now, part of this was in the rain too, but I sat Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper had 2 targets, 0 receptions. He had 0 points.
He's also injured. He's also injured. No, he's hobbled. He's not playing.
Cooper was okay. No, he was okay.
Like at least 8%
in that.
I don't think so. He was like 60%.
No, not in that game. I mean, he just got hurt in this past game, but I don't think. But it is a little bit hard to tell. Like Golden Tate got a ball against New England when he was playing for the Giants. So it's doable. I guess I guess I'll go Hopkins too. It's really tough. Like I would go McCoy if I knew that they were going to give him, enough of a share, but they rested him against Tennessee, as just like a designated rest game. He hasn't been getting double-digit carries. He's gotten double-digit carries 1 time in the last 6 games. It's just tough to trust that they won't really try to keep Darrell Williams as much involved or more, that they won't mix in Darwin Thompson. Even with a bad matchup, I think out of those options, I would still stick with DeAndre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although the standard scoring is the main thing that makes me think go with a running back, especially, somebody who could be the workhorse running back. But that's the problem is you don't know if he's going to be or not.
Right. Yeah.
Especially with Andy Reid, because we've seen this year, like if you're starting to lose your grip on the ball, he'll put somebody else in. He's not afraid to switch out running backs mid-game.
Right.
That is I believe all of the fantasy-related questions we have in the comments. Thomas H., apparently the Falcons fan, does say the star on Thursday night was the Falcons kickoff coverage unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, only 2 of them counted, but they basically got 3 straight onside kicks.
Yeah, it was amazing.
In an era where it's like a 99% recovery rate for the the defense or the team that's receiving. That's just crazy.
But that's how bad they are. They got 3 onside recoveries and still lost the game.
Matt Ryan turned into a GIF/GIF, with getting stiff armed. Although, people really, he got shoved down really by 2 guys because there were 2 guys there, 2 large defensive players. So, I feel bad for him. 9 sacks.
Yeah, that's the thing that killed him right there, especially on that final drive because Ryan couldn't have a second in the pocket without some Saints guy getting in his face.
I really just wish they would. I really just wish they would trade for his own good, Matt Ryan, to a contender. I don't think it's. I don't know. I don't know if the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons are ever going to put it together. I know this is a little mini side rant, but
saying it to the guy with the Falcons logo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know what Thomas H's feelings on this are, but just like that Super Bowl run was Kyle Shanahan more than anything else. We can clearly see that now. And it's just unfortunate that he didn't have the good sense to just run the ball 3 times and kick a field goal. Otherwise the Falcons would have a championship to their name, but Matt Ryan is 35? I think he's about to turn 35, maybe. I can't remember if he's either 35 or he's about to turn 35. But, if there's a year or so rebuild with a new coach, then, Matt's going to be in his almost late 30s by the time this gets going. I like the guy, and I think I just wish for him that he would have more of an opportunity. But although he might not want to, he might want to just stay in Atlanta regardless.
Yeah. This might be one of the situations where it's just like, look, even though it's not a contender, I'm a Falcon for life at this point.
Yeah, it could be. He seems like he could be that type of guy. He's just got 2 young sons, and, he and his wife have been in the area for more than 10 years now. So I could see that being the case.
Yeah, it does make me wonder if he did leave, where would he go though? Like, he definitely want to go somewhere who actually has a shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chicago. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. Chicago's one of the first ones that come to mind.
Yeah.
And probably, and this would be a weird one. People probably wouldn't. I don't know how the people up there would feel about this, but he's from Pennsylvania. I think originally grew up in Pennsylvania. I don't know what Ben Roethlisberger is going to have when he comes back.
Oh boy!
I think Matt Ryan with the Steelers would be an interesting pairing.
That'd actually be kind of nice. I will admit. You got Connor, Juju actually gets someone to throw it to him. That's not bad. Yeah. I want him to come to Chicago, but I'm okay with Pittsburgh.
I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think any of these happen. Really, I think another one, but this for sure would never happen because it would be in the division. But Carolina, great weapons. DJ Moore, McCaffrey. Like Matt Ryan in Carolina, they would tear people up.
But there is no way that
there's no way they would never trade him within the division. But that would be my if you had 3 teams like that. I'll throw. Okay, no. This is going to be the most. Boy. This one's going to be the most interesting one of all. Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, and the Patriots trade for Matt Ryan.
What?
These are none of these will happen. But I would rather see him go to a team that has a good offensive line, like a solid offensive line.
Oh yeah.
The Patriots, I feel like it would just be he would still struggle there. He would have better coaching, but he just does not do well when he does not have a solid offensive line. I think Pittsburgh would be the best for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's got a good offensive line now.
And their offensive linemen will kick people in the head for you. Like they will, they will fight for you, and they will literally fight for you.
There you go. You just carry them around. It's just your entourage everywhere. You just see a bunch of guys in suits. It's all offensive linemen. Yeah. Oh, that was an accident. Matt,
sneak peek.
Plug the merch. It's like all the YouTubers, as our merch.
Our merch.
MathQuest got another question for us. He asked, "Will Aaron Rodgers have a bounce back game against the Giants?"
I'm a little worried about him in this game because not because the Giants have a particularly good defense, but they have good pass rush, and he has a great offensive line, but he's been on his back too much this year. And it seems like every time he gets a little rattled, he gets a little pressure. He can have a bad game, but then again, it's New York Giants.
So will he have a bounce back game?
I think he will, but I wouldn't want to be the one to start him. Like he got dropped in one of my leagues.
What?
But listen though, it's not that surprising because the last 3 weeks. And 2 of those 3 are not, well, I mean, they're pretty good pass defenses, but I mean, they just like, the Packers just didn't do much, period. But so, okay, for the season, the Packers have played 11 games, in 7. Yeah. Because we've had, 12 weeks and one's the bye.
They already had the bye. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, everybody's had their bye now. The past bye weeks, but so 11 games. In 7 of those 11 games, Rodgers has had 14.36 points or less. Mm-hmm. That is insane. So he's had 4 big games. Well, really 3 big games and a so-so game, but 3 games where he's been north of 25 points. And then the last 3, 12.9, 10.02, 9.46. The Giants are a soft pass defense. He's got two back-to-back here with the Giants and Washington. But
I think he could have a big bounce back game here.
Oh yeah, no, I think he will. I'm just saying, like, I would not want to have to be the one to roll the dice on that. I think he will, but even some games where he probably should have had a pretty easy game earlier in the year, he just hasn't done that much. It's like they've really just kind of, Green Bay is just a different team than what they used to be. I think for the better in a lot of ways, but man, I don't know. I think he will, but I wouldn't want to have to be the one playing him.
I agree.
I think here's the thing. His 3 best games have come against bad pass defenses. Yeah. Detroit, he threw 5 touchdowns because he always does that once a year. He did that against Oakland, and then he put up 33 against Kansas City. He has big games against bad pass defenses. Giants are a bad pass defense. So is Washington. They're coming up after that. He's going to have a bounce back game this week. But here's the thing. He is not. This is going to be a bold statement here. Judah Buddha might jump through the screen and tackle me. But he's not right now the biggest part of the Packers offense. That's Aaron Jones.
Wrong.
Aaron Rodgers for fantasy.
Wrong.
Not actually in real life. In real life, Aaron Rodgers is the alpha. He is the Packers. It's like how LeBron James was synonymous with the Cavs until he left twice. But Aaron Rodgers is basically the human manifestation of the Green Bay Packers at this point. But here's the thing. Fantasy-wise, Aaron Jones has been more consistent. He's gotten more touchdowns. He's getting more volume. And they're giving it to him. Why wouldn't you? He's been doing
he has not been consistent.
He's been doing well. He's been doing
he is not consistent.
Yes, let me see. Let me see here for a second.
I agree with you. I agree with you that if Aaron Rodgers was a running back, I would rather. Well, I don't know how you compared that.
Okay, you take out the one game against Chicago at the beginning of the year, the first game. If we take out that game, he has had 2 games under 14 points. That means he has had.
So if you take out one game, he's had 2 games. So he's had 3 games under 14 points.
8 games of 14 or more. 8 games. That is
how many?
great.
How many has he had over 17?
1, 2, 3, 4 games. So half of those over 17.
Yeah, 4 out of 11.
14. That's a solid running back starter. 14 at least. That's good. But look,
how many of those?
But yes, Rodgers is going to have a bounce back week this week. I think he'll do well. Giants have bad pass defense.
I just want to know like what Judah's standards are for running backs. It's like Christian McCaffrey, Sucksville. Everything below Christian McCaffrey is Sucksville. It's just like because we can look at because we had almost the exact same conversation with Derrick Henry where Derrick Henry came into the week the 4th.
Yeah, Derrick Henry was surprised.
Ranked 4th in points. Zeke Elliott jumped him because he played already, and then Aaron Jones is 3rd. So we literally had the 3rd and 4th ranked guys. So it's like your bar is just Christian McCaffrey. You're like such a running back snob. It's like, oh, they're not Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. No, look, we're talking specific cases here. You guys have you guys both put we were just talking about him. Aaron Jones, way higher in your rankings than I would. Like when we were talking about ranking the top 10, I think he would maybe be in the top 10 if he's like 10.
Well, we were talking rest of season at that point. We weren't.
Hey, I'm still talking that.
Well, I don't understand. We would put him in top 10 as what? Like as on talent, or I don't understand. Like what?
Rest of the season. If you rank running backs, remember we were talking about top 10.
Yeah. So I mean, I would for sure put him. I would for sure put him top 5 rest of season because I mean he's already.
You guys are top 5 with him.
I didn't say top 5. I didn't say top 5.
He's sharing carries. He's sharing carries and snaps with Jamal Williams. He is ever since Adams has been back. He's been losing catches and targets. I think you guys are going way too much on like past box scores. The situation has changed.
No.
Yes.
The situation's about to get a lot better because he just came off of I don't know what happened to the Packers against the Chargers, but that was a flop game. They just couldn't get anything going, so they got behind and they couldn't really run the ball. Then he blew up on Carolina.
For the record, that was incredible to watch against the Chargers.
Oh yeah. And then
you hate the Chargers?
I hate the Packers.
And so then he got shut down. Like again, the whole Packers offense got shut down against San Francisco. Coming up, they get the Giants, they get the Redskins, they get the Bears, and even Minnesota. Like he's run well. Like even though Minnesota has a good run defense, he has been the one guy who has run well against them. Not just earlier this year, but the Packers last meeting with him last year. So I think he is top 5 over these final 4 games.
Who would you? So let's look at top 5. Who is that? Who's your top 5?
I mean, you got to put McCaffrey in there.
Are we talking PPR? Or are we talking PPR? Right?
I don't know that it matters. I don't know that it matters that much for him. I mean, other than like
it does big time. His catches have gone way down.
I know, but I mean, either half point or standard. I think it's fine. I think he would do well even in PPR because you just, I don't know. It's not like in past years where Alvin Kamara is getting 10 receptions a game or whatever. So yeah, those top 5, I would put.
I'll take Jones if you want to bet. I'll take Jones versus Chubb.
Wait, what?
Rest of the season.
Jones versus Chubb.
We're not doubting Chubb. He's got Cincinnati and Arizona coming.
Well, you're leaving him out. You're leaving him out of your top 5.
I didn't say that. I didn't give anybody else other than Christian McCaffrey.
You said Christian McCaffrey. I'm sure you're going to say Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott. Alvin Kamara?
Kamara's man, I don't know.
He's been. Can I say he has been the biggest flop for me?
He's been a big disappointment.
He's been the biggest, man.
But a lot of it just seems to be. I texted. I could screen cap my. I could screen cap my phone and send this to you. But I texted a friend of mine when we were watching that Falcons Saints game the other night. I said, it seems like in every other year, the Saints would just dump the ball off to Alvin Kamara and let him run for 35 or 40 yards. And they don't do that anymore. Like, it's like they're never doing those little dump off passes anymore.
I think they are hoping to get into the playoffs. At this point,
they're getting into the playoffs.
They're getting into the playoffs. Yeah. So they know they're getting into the playoffs. I think they're keeping him healthy because last year he got injured at the end of the year. I think even the year before that. So I think they're being safe with him.
Maybe so, but I mean, it just seems like well, and to your point, I guess on that is like they really played to safely win that game. I mean, Sean Payton was like there were series where they were up by, I think they were up by 11, and he was just like not willing to take a chance throwing the ball because they knew that they were just stopping Atlanta every time. And of course, then Atlanta started getting those onside kicks,
which was amazing. It was like the best way to attack them at that point.
Yeah. So that was kind of crazy, but I think you could be on to something there.
I think Sean Payton is looking over at some of these like high quality coaches, and he's at the top 5.
Oh yeah.
But I think he's looking at things that he's done wrong in the past, which is just smash his running backs and then not really
letting your wide receiver get bodied in the playoffs and miss a chance at the Super Bowl because of that, and got a 10-3 mess.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to the playoffs and then it's like all of a sudden the Alvin Kamara show, AK-47 blowing up all over the place. So that won't help me in my playoffs, but
Captain Kamara.
It's okay. I have Chubb and Singletary and got plenty of players.
Anyway, okay, we're at an hour and nearly 45 minutes.
We got to wrap it up. But before we do,
oh boy. So, do you guys have any big stardom sit-ems that you absolutely need to get out?
I think Judah Buddha, I saw some kind of banner up here that you had or something. I don't know.
What?
I could be wrong. Go ahead.
What?
You want to take it away? We're putting it on you.
Why? I already had my stardom sit-em earlier, but I did want to talk about RotoHackers.
Saving that for the end.
Well, another teaser. I don't have any big ones.
Jared, you got anything for us?
I think the Eagles. I think some Eagles are in a good spot here. Eagles offense has been pretty hard to trust, but Alshon Jeffrey's back. Jordan Howard's out, so I think Miles Sanders is a good play. If Zach Ertz is out, then Goddard is a good play. I mean, Goddard's been a fringe top 10 guy anyway, but I think you could have some nice games from some of those guys. I don't know. I think we talked about a lot of those earlier in the week.
Well, then that reminds me. Would you play Goddard or Sutton in your flex?
Dallas Goddard?
Mm-hmm.
If Ertz is out, I would play Goddard actually.
Really?
Yeah. If not, I would go Sutton. I mean, I know Sutton had a good game against the Chargers earlier in the year. Emmanuel Sanders was there.
Chargers just got back. What's his name? Their star defensive guy.
Casey Hayward, or not?
No.
Bosa. I don't know. Chargers have a lot of star defensive guys, but they never somehow seem to.
Derwin James.
Okay, safety.
Oh yeah.
So that would directly affect Sutton.
Yeah. Well, and you may be getting the debut of Drew Lock.
Oh, so yeah. No, it is. You are getting Drew Lock.
Well, have they said that for sure though? Because he's going to be active, But the coach, but Fangio has been like non-committal about it sounds like he's just sort of playing coy, and it's going to be Locke. But let me look to see if he's ever.
There's nothing yet. They haven't said anything.
Okay. So yeah, if Ertz is out, I would look for. I would go to Goddard if he's not. Man, I don't know. That's just a tough spot for Sutton.
Yeah.
Well, if that is pretty much everything we got, if y'all have anything else, you think? Jared, anything else?
Did we need to have a conversation about AirPods?
Yeah, we were about to do that. I was just seeing if there's anything fantasy relevant left.
Well, on that topic, here's my dilemma. My starter.
Oh boy. Okay.
I have two $25 gift cards for Apple. Do I still get the discount if I go in the store? One, or two, can I use those discount cards on like the online thing? And three, is the sale still going on? Is the Black Friday sale still going on?
Well, it's Saturday, so I don't think Black Friday sales are going on.
Oh, they'll hold them through the weekend.
Sometimes.
Don't the cards say like?
Yeah.
Don't either the cards say on the cards, or do they not have like some sort of like link you can go to like check all of the?
I mean, that would take effort.
Yeah, I feel like that might be your safe play though. That's your floor play.
Is what?
Your floor play is reading the card. I know you could go for the ceiling of just not reading them at all and hoping that you go in and it's all.
You can use them on the online store.
Yeah, there you go. Also, by the way, I mean, you could go in with the hope of getting those Black Friday sales, but it might be better to wait till Monday. You'll probably get more production then. Cyber Monday sales.
Right.
Online.
It's like,
but that would be online.
It's like someone in your Monday night game, you know.
Exactly.
It's like, do you wait? Do you hold out when you're not sure of their status, or do you go ahead and go for it? You know.
I see what you guys are doing.
So they're like, that's like the Adam. It's like the Adam Thielen this week.
Oh, that's true. We didn't talk about him maybe not coming back.
I've got him in the league, and so the Sutton thing reminded me of it because my third option is Sutton. Deebo Samuel's on my waiver wire, but you know, so it's like I really just want Thielen to play.
Yeah, they said he might play. He might play this week. He probably won't be 100% though, but it looks like.
He said himself that he will not play if he's not 100%. So
okay,
that really makes it scary because it's a hamstring, and he's you know, sounds like he's making a business decision there or something. Yeah. So I don't know.
Wait, and are they playing? So are they playing?
They're playing Seattle Monday night.
So yeah, Monday night. So you have to make a decision tomorrow.
I do really, yeah, because I mean, there's not like I can't really just like pick up his backup. They don't have like a clear backup that Rudolph gets more catches. They've got a couple other guys that they use, so yeah, it's tough.
Is it in you're putting him in your flex?
No, wide receiver 2.
Oof,
that's risky.
Yep.
Jared, you got any advice for Ryan in on fancy sunglasses? I mean, you obviously got the sunglasses down.
I did, yeah. I had some nice. Those are kind of some older ones. I've actually gotten away from fancy sunglasses because I just break them. I just always break them. So I had some. My last pair, I had some Maui Jims, and they eventually got broken, and so now I just go for like knockoffs for like $20 on Amazon or something. I just break them. I like them, but they're just, too fragile.
Are you pro, what are they called? Those like, pilot, not pilot,
Aviator?
Aviator. Are you pro Aviator or against?
I like the look of them, but like I try to buy lightweight sunglasses because I feel like I just don't know if I've got just don't have a lot of like tissue on the sides of the bridge of my nose here or what, but like it just feels like they put like an inch dent in the sides of my nose there. And so if I like that, I like the look of the Aviators, but I just need something that I need something more lightweight.
They work if your name is Clark Gregg and you work for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what works best.
Yeah.
That's best. He rocks those.
Yeah.
Can I just point out here, AirPods Pro are almost exactly like AirPods regular, except they're customizable.
I guess so. I guess it looked to me like I didn't know that AirPods Pro were a thing until I saw the sale for regular AirPods. And so I'm like, oh, well, how much difference? And then like, AirPods Pro are like $250.
Yeah, $250.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, never mind. I don't. The regular. You know what? Actually, the regular Apple earbuds seem to fit my ears better than like all these little customizable ones that you can like stick further in your ear canal or something. Like those never seem to like those always feel like they're gonna fall out to me. I wouldn't go for those.
They have so the pros, they have active noise cancellation. I think that's the only one.
Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another RotoHackers podcast. And before we go, I'd like to remind everyone that there is our link. We just threw it up in the comments. That is for our regular RotoHackers t-shirt. That is for our other RotoHackers t-shirt. If you want to buy them, you can. But be aware that if we hit 100 views on an episode, we will be giving away 3 RotoHackers t-shirts. Most watched episode is 90 right now. Let's see if we can get it all the way up. Be sure to tell everyone you know about the RotoHackers podcast. Tell your mom, tell your sister, tell your friend, tell your grandmother, tell your little brother so he can watch it on YouTube while he's playing Minecraft. Tell it to everyone. 100 episodes, we're giving away 3 RotoHackers t-shirts. Plus, if you can send in your designs to rotohackers@gmail.com, we will choose the best one and make that a limited edition RotoHackers shirt as well. Links are in the comments. If you want to hear more about it, you can go to the end of the video once we're done. But be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe because I am shamelessly plugging our channel right now, even though everybody hates it.
And there's only 3 left. People watching.
That's totally fine. That is totally fine.
Anyway,
everyone, thank you all for tuning into another RotoHackers podcast. My name is AJ Herschel, also known as the Kid. That over there is Judah Buddha, and over there is the absolute stud. It's Jared.
This is always worth it just for Judah's reaction to that. It's always this like this mix of like amusement, but with like a hint of resentment. Like he's not the absolute stud. I'm the absolute stud.
No.
It doesn't matter if he's in the relish business. I'm the absolute. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time on the RotoHackers podcast. I'm going to go and watch Georgia roll over Georgia Tech right now. We'll see y'all next time.
That's why we're getting off before 2 hours. I see what's going on here.
I can talk for 8 more minutes about Clark Gregg's sunglasses. But
No, let's go.
All right, we'll see y'all next time on Tuesday.